Months after entering federal prison, his legal team took the fight to 3 appellate judges in New York. Welcome to this explainer, where we're opening up the digital case file on what is quickly shaping up to be one of the most legally significant federal appeals of 2026.
Okay, let's dive right into it. At stake here is a 50-month sentence, handed down by a federal judge after Mann Combs was convicted on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. We're going to strictly examine the courtroom mechanics and the objective legal arguments at play today. We're stripping away the celebrity spectacle entirely, and we're just going to look squarely at the law. Here is our digital docket for today: the Second Circuit appeal, defining acquitted conduct, appellant's legal arguments, the government's response, and finally, appellate's standards of review.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the Second Circuit Appeal. Following an intense 8-week trial that wrapped up in July of 2025, Combs was actually acquitted of the most severe charges: sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy. But the jury did convict him on 2 counts under the federal Mann Act, and by October, he was sentenced to 50 months in prison. Now, what makes this procedural timeline so incredibly remarkable is that the Second Circuit Court of Appeals approved an expedited review. They took an appellate process that normally drags on for years and compressed it into just a matter of months, which culminated in oral arguments before a 3-judge panel in April 2026.
Moving right along to Section 2, defining acquitted conduct.
So the absolute crux of this case hinges on this specific legal definition. Acquitted conduct is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's this highly controversial practice where a sentencing judge factors in evidence or behavior related to crimes that the jury specifically cleared the defendant of doing. The defense claims the trial judge improperly weighed evidence from those acquitted sex trafficking charges to significantly boost the sentence for the prostitution convictions. Basically, they're arguing this effectively bypasses the jury's not guilty verdict altogether.
That takes us to Section 3, the appellant's legal arguments.
Let's look closely at the adversarial clash between the 2 legal briefs filed with the court. Lead appellate attorney for the defense, Alexandra Shapira, is going on the offensive here. She's arguing that the trial judge fundamentally defied the jury's verdict. In their brief, the defense team forcefully accuses the judge of acting as a 13th juror, essentially stepping into the jury box after the fact, reweighing the evidence, and sentencing Combs based on coercion and trafficking allegations that the actual 12 jurors flat out rejected.
Getting into the granular legal mechanics, the defense brief focuses heavily on challenges to jury instructions and how the trial court interpreted the 2024 United States Sentencing Commission amendments. The defense argues the trial court misapplied the guidelines by adopting a really loose relevancy test. Under that test, the judge ruled the conduct simply needed to tend to prove an element of the offense. While the defense contends this is a clear legal error, they're arguing that the plain text of the amendment requires that any considered evidence must strictly establish the conduct. That's a much higher burden of proof, one they claim the government did not meet regarding the acquitted charges.
And this is a multi-pronged defense strategy, right? It isn't just relying on sentencing guidelines. It elevates the whole fight to a constitutional level. They claim a Sixth Amendment Apprendi violation, arguing the judge unconstitutionally usurped the jury's fact-finding role. Furthermore, they are raising massive evidentiary admission claims, arguing that the Mann Act, which is a statute traditionally used for coercive interstate trafficking, was unprecedentedly misapplied here. Most notably, they're asserting that the underlying consensual, voyeuristic acts and recordings were actually protected by the First Amendment as amateur pornography, meaning, in their view, those acts never should have been criminalized in the first place.
Let's pivot to Section 4, the government's response.
As you might expect, the government wholly rejects the defense's narrative. The prosecution asserts that the judge's relevancy test perfectly aligns with the plain text and the intent of the federal guidelines. As the trial court noted, and the government vigorously reiterated in their brief, nothing in the rules suggests courts should just turn a blind eye to conduct that is relevant to the broader context of the offense. The Department of Justice argues that trial judges, who remember sit through weeks and weeks of testimony, are always in the absolute best position to evaluate the individual, highly specific facts of each case when determining a sentence.
Maintaining total legal neutrality here, it is absolutely critical to note the prosecution's heavy reliance on established, binding Supreme Court precedent. The government cites foundational cases like United States v. Watts and Alien v. United States. They argue these precedents traditionally and explicitly allow judges to consider a defendant's full character, their background, and their conduct during sentencing. According to the DOJ, as long as that 50-month sentence falls within the statutory maximum allowed for the 2 Mann Act convictions, which for the record it does,
The judge is legally permitted to make factual findings to guide their discretion, and they can do that completely unconstrained by the jury's acquittals on the other counts.
Which brings us to our final section, Appellate Standards of Review.
Okay, so this brings up a vital question for anyone following federal litigation, and it's something you should definitely file away for our future explainers. How do appellate courts evaluate trial court evidentiary rulings? Because it is not about deciding if the jury was right or wrong. It's entirely about the specific lens through which the appellate judges review the trial judge's legal math.
The Second Circuit panel is going to use two very distinct standards. For questions of pure law, like whether the trial judge misinterpreted those 2024 sentencing guidelines or violated the Constitution, the appellate judges apply a strict, fresh de novo review. That means they look at the law from scratch. Zero deference is given to the trial judge. However, when evaluating the overall reasonableness of the 50-month sentence and the day-to-day evidentiary rulings made during the trial, they have to use a highly deferential abuse of discretion standard. Under that standard, they can only overturn the trial judge if the decision was arbitrary, irrational, or just clearly erroneous.
So, as we await a written decision from the exceptionally difficult deliberations of this three-judge panel, there are three distinct legal outcomes that could drop between May and August of 2026. Number 1, an affirmation. That means the court finds no reversible error and the 50-month sentence stands as is. Number 2, a remand. This is where the appellate court finds a legal error and kicks the case back down to the trial judge with specific instructions for a brand new sentencing hearing. Or number 3, a vacatur, where the sentence is completely overturned, potentially drastically shortening the time Combs spends behind bars.
Make no mistake, a ruling here won't just affect this one defendant, it really has the potential to redefine federal sentencing guidelines nationwide. So, I want to leave you with this provocative question raised directly by the defense in their appellate brief. What is the point of a jury trial if your sentence is driven by what you are acquitted of doing? It perfectly encapsulates the profound ongoing tension between the power of a citizen jury's verdict and the expansive sentencing discretion of a federal judge.
If you found this objective breakdown valuable and want to continue learning how to read the law like an insider, subscribe for active case file updates. We will see you in the next explainer.